shout out to London Man, head of the education, referring to AI A1 multiple times.
Here's one, which is it's like barbecue sauce or something.
Yes,
It's American.
But the way that she says it once, and you're kind of like, oh, okay, maybe that's just been a moment. Right the way through the whole sit down, and no one corrects her, and it's brilliant. Only I'm so happy that I'm still getting mileage out of this fucking stupid family after all these years. Pure fucking evil, and all of them thick as rocks.
Oh, and not two being it up together.
No, absolutely atrocious. Anyway, it's MAGA Mania this weekend. But there we are.
Yeah, I mean, the AI thing is just gonna fucking collapse.
Yes.
Every week I listen to Ed Zitron's podcast as he has a rant, more and more angry about that. Do you know what? I love him. I absolutely fucking love him. He also, he's a beautifully eloquent supporter of trans people, and he'll quite often sort of say, by the way, if you're against trans people, stop fucking listening right now. I'm not joking. Stop listening. I know when you're listening to me. Fuck off.
That's the thing about the AI thing that's so annoying. I mean, it's just sort of somewhat, because I did feel bad for that poor kid pitching this AI thing. And it's the way that it doesn't work because you can't direct it. It is like a slot machine. Like you can as a creative person utilize it. So you sort of, I understand the initial kind of, all right, you've got my curiosity sort of thing now about what this can do.
But you can't then nudge it, say, just change that bit, just change that bit. You have to do the whole thing. So it comes out better.
I'll admit, like, I played about with image generators, like to sort of try and give, could I use this to animate Christian? Could I get this to do 2D animation that I could then like voice over or whatever? You cannot get it to do a character entering a doorway and walking to the center of the room and then tell it, do that again, but have the character put the hand in their pocket this time. They'll just generate another character. And I've not seen any of it where it can actually be directed in the way that you would direct a human animator or an actor to perform. It simply cannot do it. Or if it does do anything close to that, it hallucinates some weird shit. And then the amount of, as you see, energy and money that it's costing, there is no benefit to that. It would be far better just to get a human being to do it for you. That's the bottom line on it is that the lie that it's sold on is that it will allow you to replace people when it can't. If it could evidence to me that it can, I would probably take more of a, well, I could see it either this way or that way, but it actually can't do it at all. So yeah.
I have been, apart from the fact that it's fucking destroying the planet, but so is everything else. I've been Gen AI neutral, I would say. I've not been super outspoken against it. Don't particularly. I don't think it's the revolution that everyone wants it to be. I think it's just to get money out of a lot of VCs who've got more money than sense. But over the last couple of weeks, I've had some experiences that have fully fucking radicalised me against the existence of it. I feel like a medieval peasant during an eclipse, just like I would fucking get a pitchfork. I'd like burn something down. I don't know, just see if it'll help. I've had 2 interviews. I've been interviewing people and they've not got the job because of Gen AI. The first person, every single question I asked, he was like, well, I'd ask ChatGPT for every question. And I was like, I'm not hiring Chat. What are you talking about? And in the second interview, it was going well until one question was asked and I just heard an AI generated voice in the background starting to answer the question before the guy could get it.
That's amazing.
So I'm like,
so these were not in-person interviews.
Yeah, I had to talk to my boss about this because actually I've mentioned that this is something that they're doing because we were doing remote interviews and we were hanging as well. And it's that way that obviously they've had the phone up to the speaker so it can hear the question. And the idea is that if you put it's an iPhone, if you have the phone on mute, the text of the response will display, but it won't verbalize the answer. And obviously at some point he ticked it off the mute function on his phone and it just started to talk. But I've had that conversation as well because normally if you're doing remote interviews, if someone's obviously using their phone to get the answer, you can kind of tell. But what I was saying was this guy, it was seamless until it was heard. No one noticed he was doing it. And it worked.
Well, that thing you'll see quite possibly had the phone up on screen. So your iPhone now, you can actually control your phone on your computer, on your Mac screen. So he may well have had it on the screen sitting, hovering in front of him so that he's only having to sort of have a wee glance to something that's already on.
Even then, you can usually tell when someone's Googling an answer, even if you can't tell, you can tell when their answer.
Yeah, really reading and making it sound like it was just come straight out.
He's obviously done it before.
Well, this is it. I mean, it's fine. Like, it's been cut, but I'm just like, it's the wider implications, especially like the industry I work in technology. If you are in a job that you think that Chat GPT can do, it will be doing it in the next 5 years, less than. So what you need to do is find out what Chat GPT can do and get really good at that, and that's how you make sure you don't get replaced. So you can't be fucking getting jobs using Chat GPT. You can't be using it as an answer to every interview question that, like, oh well, if you asked me to do this, I would ask Chat GPT first, and then I would.
And do you know what? Here's the thing. So my day-to-day job is mostly bookkeeping, and there's that has changed dramatically over the last 20 years in terms of the little bits of software that I've got that do stuff for me. And one of the best ones is a bit of software called I use two. They both do versions of the same thing, but because of the way they interact with Sage, I use one for sales invoices and I use a different one for purchase invoices, Dext and auto entry. And these things basically read documents for me and fill in a load of fields for me, and I just have to check through. And they're great. They save me lots of time. They save me lots of very, very boring typing. And with regards to the numbers, they save me making keying errors, because with the best will in the world, and I'm a good bookkeeper, I think, but with the best will in the world, sometimes you just make keying errors and you get amounts wrong. And then you fucking, with keyboards, 9s and 6s and stupid shit. So they're great from this point of view. But nonetheless, they're still wrong a lot.
Yeah.
And it requires me, the person that knows, to say, actually, that's not this one. So, a good one being, it's a stupid, for example, we have an account with ATS for getting tyres done, and we have an account with ATS for fuel cards, and those are two different accounts, and stupid fucking thing can't tell the difference between them ever, right? And so little things like that require a human eye. You can't automate everything. You can make it easier for the person like me to do my job and take a lot of the dull shit out of it. And that's great. It saves me loads of time that I can be doing other things more usefully. But you still need my eye.
It's really fucking depressing that they were making episodes of Star Trek in the 1960s that covered all of this. Well, we could just make the Enterprise automated, just do AI. And of course, it goes wrong for all these little micro reasons, and it actually becomes a really dangerous situation. But I mean, further on, it's really clear that they talk to the computer a lot, and because it's a computer, they have to constantly kind of correct it and adjust what they're saying to it. So it's saying, like, even in the ideal, you've got fucking warp
That's the whole
drive.
point of the character data.
It's like, it's not quite there. And it's just about how these tech guys kind of consume all that. What did you think all this media is about?
Yeah.
And I think that's ultimately why, certainly for art creation, it's completely futile. Because the way you're talking about for work, like I do that, a lot of that shit as well, where you can speed things up. It can be used as a tool, but you're checking it all the time. But the stuff that's really going to burn up its energy use is going to be the generating images and videos and all this other crap, but they just can't do. And I mean, I'm happy finally this has kind of been the line in the sand almost, where the viewing audience to go like, right, we'll eat this slop, this shite crap CGI you've been feeding us for the last 20 odd bloody years, but this is the end. We're not nothing further, because that's clearly what they've tried to do. They're trying to get this as a way that they can just automate making a movie, which is just, that is, I cannot get my head around it. Not even the evil, just the dull soullessness of that. Like, that is, it's inconceivable to me that somebody could be like, what a great idea. And like, again, why are you being like that? What's wrong with you?
Have you have you ever watched the film The Player?
No, what's something? Sorry, is it?
It's an old Tim Robbins film. Watch the film The Player.
Okay, right.
A lot of these people,
Soullessness of Hollywood.
it's not like intentional evil, and you'll see a lot of people online be like, oh my goodness, like now that it can do this, no one will ever want to see another movie that's not generated again. It's like, oh, you're just a person who does not understand or appreciate art in any way, shape or form. And there are so many people like that in tech, and it's not that they're bad people, they just see the world differently in a way that I cannot comprehend. It's like the reason that we create art It's not just important that it looks pretty, it's important that it was made by a person. It's a medium of communication. If you're just being communicated to by a fucking AI, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't matter how complementary the colour palette is, or how sharp the lines are, or how hand-like the hands finally are. Like, it doesn't actually matter how good this stuff gets. It will never be worth anything because it is not made by a person.
There's a difference. It can't replicate but what is the image saying? It can't do that. But so this is exactly, these are people that are aesthetics driven, which is why a lot of Hollywood films have started to look terrible, because that's a lot of it. Now, it's not saying anything. These films are not made to say anything. They're not pieces of art. They're just there to kind of look, oh, okay, the aesthetically that's quite appealing.
I mean, it's
Right,
being very aesthetics driven is a hallmark of a fascistic.
Exactly. So yeah, exactly. It's like, well, what does any of this mean? It's like you've built this great giant eagle made of concrete. That's wonderful. What's that saying? Kill all the Jews? Oh, right, okay, not so keen on that. And I think there's so much of that going on and that's just it's that not knowing enough to know what you don't know problem. And it's like how if
It's always that problem.
yeah, and it's just that way of like, and that's where you kind of feel bad. There's an evil end to all this where you're like, I would just shoot these people. But then there's in terms of your kind of what Luigi was up to, that type of thing. But then there's that kind of mid tier of just, I kind of just feel sad that you've just been so kind of like Marvel brained your whole life that you can't actually look at the AI stuff and say
Wraith of human existence.
how can it, I know this is getting a bit, we always end up talking about films and stuff we've ended up watching, but I remember we went back and watched the Lord of the Rings again quite recently. I think I did a post that was a Blue Sky, and you're looking at like the tech jump from say like the Jerry Anderson stuff from Thunderbirds in like the 1960s to 1977 with the Star Wars, the original ones, and then Lord of the Rings in 01, and you're thinking, Christ, I wonder where we're going to be in like 20 years time. And then you look at where we are and you're like, this is fucking embarrassing.
Gone, and it's been downhill ever since.
Yeah, I think a lot of the the fifth Indiana Jones.
My God, oh God.
Stop invoking it. Just let it die. Maybe it'll never happen.
I didn't get to the end of it. I didn't even watch the end of it.
If you watch the Last Crusade, the third one, and then as we did, we're like, should we put on the fourth afterwards?
No.
Wait.
You will not. I've not seen it since I saw it in the cinema. Maybe it's not as bad. It's actually worse. But the thing that is so astounding is that if you told me like no credits on any of these films, who made The Last Crusade? I'm like, probably Steven Spielberg. And then same thing, who made the fourth? There's no fucking way that was Steven Spielberg, but it was. And that is mind-boggling to me. If you watch them back to back in quick succession, your brain cannot comprehend that the same guy made those two movies. And that is something went massively awry with tech and people. Peter Jackson obviously knew how to utilise the old and the new together very effectively. It would have been interesting to see if Hollywood had taken the right lessons and gone, let's do that, let's push in that direction, whereas they kind of looked
I mean, how old is Steven Spielberg now? He must have just been fucking dialing it in by that point.
But instead we looked at The Matrix. That's what happened. It was The Matrix sequels, and it was like, all right, the slop, let's make lots of that instead. And then it's been that way ever since. And it's been a test. I think every year they're just in testing to see how bad they can make something look, and it'll still draw money.
I'm amazed.
That's what I think's the pattern.
Frankly amazed that's
Not a joke, by the way. I'm being deadly fucking serious. That is, I think, exactly what's happened.
completely amazed that cinemas are still in business.
Well, more even aren't. They're going under.
I can't remember the last time I could be bothered. There was anything out that I thought I really want to see that on a big screen, as opposed to I really want to be able to go to the toilet in the middle of.
Go and support the Glasgow Film Theatre. You'll see really good
I think
independent
absolutely
movies.
the last time I went to cinema, it was the GFT.
GFT is excellent.
It was. I went to. It was the last time I went.
Definitely go and see it, but yeah, I think that general testing of what the audience is wanting to put up with, that has laid the foundation for where all this stuff has come from. And I think when we talk about the big tech collapse, it's not just the AI thing. Like, a lot of this is going to come crashing down. So much of it around is also workers' rights, because it's something that we only found out quite recently, which was that CGI artists aren't unionising the way that traditional artists and filmmakers were. So Steven Spielberg, big breakthrough, Jurassic Park. And that's why, so the whole crunch tech, you hear that all the time, video game development crunch, that's what they're able to do. They're able to, rather than do the hard work on the pre-production, do everything correctly, we'll just get some poor sap nerds that are hunched over computers for weeks on end.
29 hours.
Yeah, that's
Throw it out. So they have all the different companies bid, and then the companies, just to get their name in the credits of a film, will just undercut everybody else and then just pay their artists fucking nothing. So that's why everything looks like shit.
Yeah. And so that's also, if you're consuming that, you are part of that problem. That is on the consumer to realise you're being ripped off, you're paying far too much for this, it looks like garbage, and you're making people's lives directly miserable that are caught up in that experience. And as you say, just simply strengthen numbers, proper union, proper workers' rights, you would see far better quality stuff.
We went to the GFT to see a film called Hundreds of Beavers, and it was the most fun I've had in a cinema in a long time. Just people in animals. It's the fucking funniest.
The greatest thing about the experience of that was the GFT. Obviously, it's a bit more. I don't want to say it's not snooty, it's not snobby, but it's a bit more kind of there's that clientele. So it's one that's sold quite well, and the opening of the thing, it declares from the very beginning what this is about, and it is a slapstick comedy involving men wearing giant beaver costumes. I'm sat there going, "This is going to be amazing." But you could feel you could feel in the room that kind of, oh God, is this it for the next 2 hours? And the satisfaction of watching this movie win over that audience. The person next to me was, you could feel a bit like they were like that at the beginning.
That was me.
But no, the older couple that were there, or whatever there was an older guy that was there, and he was clearly not into this. But then by the end of the 2 hours or however long the film was, I don't think even was 2 hours, everybody was laughing, crying, ribs hurting laughing. And that is such a satisfying thing. But what it takes is the balls to do that. That is such a braver thing, rather than diluting whatever you're making down. So it upsets nobody, but it doesn't get any reaction. You don't feel anything. Whereas that experience of having the guts to piss off an audience and then work them round it to get, and everybody will remember it. Everyone that was there that night will remember going to see that and what that experience.
I've never had the last 25 minutes of the film. Just the entire time, there was not a beat. The entire time, the whole place was just in tears, and I've never actually witnessed that in a cinema.
That's what it's supposed to be about. Is that idea of that is generating a reaction. But in order to generate that reaction, you have to sometimes, when you're making art, deliberately make something unpleasant for a bit.
Risk not making a.
You have to risk not everything getting over and working in order to build to the big stuff. And that's what that whole mentality is gone now. It's just sell the big Macs.